The pictures were the problem. 16 of them, stacked in a careful pile under Rex's cot, each one drawn in the thick crayon strokes that hatchling claws allowed. Grandpa Drax in his chair. Grandpa Drax by the viewport. Grandpa Drax eating, sleeping, laughing. 16 versions of the same face, and not one of them had been delivered, because for 7 days now the visits had been canceled and nobody had explained why in a way that made sense. Rex sat on his cot in the hatchery suite and stared at the wall. Fern was reading. She read the way she did everything, quietly, carefully, with total focus. Her green-teal scales caught the soft light from the habitat lamps. She turned a page without looking up. Sol was on the floor, using his tail to slowly push a maintenance drone across the room. The drone beeped in protest each time he did it. He did it again anyway. The hatchery suite was comfortable. It had warm floors and 3 cots and a wide viewport that looked out onto the docking ring below. Daya had designed the space herself when she took the caretaker post, filling it with things she thought hatchlings would like: soft light, low shelves, a wall of hooks for their drawings. It was a good room. Right now Rex hated it. He picked up the top picture from the pile. Grandpa Drax, drawn in gold crayon, sitting in the big chair in his suite on ring 3. Rex had spent a long time on that one. He had tried to get the scales right. He put it back down. They said he needs more rest, Fern said, without looking up from her book. You are reading, Rex said. I can do both. She turned another page. Daya told us this morning. Ring 3 visits are paused until further notice. She did not say why. She said he needs quiet. Rex was quiet for a moment. Then he said, she did not say he was okay. Fern's page turning stopped. That was the thing. That was the exact shape of the thing that had been sitting in Rex's chest for 7 days, and he had only just now found the words for it. Every adult on Hearthhold Station had told them some version of the same sentence. He needs rest. Visits are paused. Give him time. Be patient. And not one of them had said the simple thing. The obvious thing. He is okay. He will be fine. You do not need to worry. Nobody had said that. Fern closed her book. She looked at Rex. Her expression was doing the complicated thing it did when she knew he was right and did not want to agree out loud. Sol stopped pushing the drone. He looked between them. I have a plan, Rex said. No, Fern said. You have not heard the plan. The last time you had a plan, you tried to teach yourself to swim in the coolant reservoir. I learned to swim. You nearly froze. Both things can be true. Rex stood up. He was the biggest of the 3, bronze gold scales, a jaw that had not yet caught up with the rest of his face, and the particular posture of a creature who has decided something and is now simply waiting for the world to agree. Grandpa is on ring 3. Ring 3 is part of this station. We know the connecting corridors. We are not allowed in the connecting corridors without Daya. We are not allowed in a lot of places. Rex moved to the window and looked down at the docking bay below. Bays stretched out in a long row, each one numbered. He had memorized the numbers a long time ago, the way he memorized everything that seemed useful. Bay 14. UCS Wanderer. She has been in port for 3 days. Supply crew was unloading this morning. I watched from this window. The access hatch on the port side was open for 2 hours. Fern stood up very slowly. Rex. It may still be open. Rex, that is a colony ship. It has a captain's chair. The word sat in the room. Sol made a small sound that might have been the beginning of excitement. You want to steal a colony ship, Fern said, in the voice she used when she was hoping that saying a thing out loud would reveal how unreasonable it was. Borrow, Rex said. We will bring it back. We cannot fly a colony ship. I watched Daya enter the maintenance access codes 41 times. I know the code for the docking level door. He looked at her steadily. I know the code, Fern. We can get down there. Getting onto the ship is not the same as flying the ship. Sol can be co-pilot. Sol sat up straight. I am good at sitting, he said, with the deep sincerity of someone offering their finest skill. Fern pressed her forehead against the window and breathed out slowly. The breath left a small fog circle on the glass. She thought about the 7 days. She thought about 16 pictures stacked under a cot. She thought about the thing Rex had said. He did not say he was okay, and how it had felt when she heard it, like a key turning in a lock she had not known was there. She picked up the pictures, all 16 of them. She tucked them carefully under her left wing. I am coming, she said, to stop you from doing something worse. Rex was already at the door. Of course, he said. Nobody had checked the hatch. It was still open, just barely, just enough, wedged by a supply crate someone had meant to move and then forgotten. The three hatchlings stood at the base of the access ramp in the shadow of UCS Wanderer and looked at the gap. The ship above them was large in the way that made the air feel different, like standing at the foot of a cliff. Rex walked up the ramp without hesitating. Fern and Sol followed. Inside, the ship smelled like metal and old recycled air and something faint from the hydroponics bay deeper in the hull. The corridors were wide and dim, lit by low standby lights and strips along the floor. Everything was built for humans: tall doors, wide halls, panels at exactly the wrong height for a hatchling trying to read them. Fern found a directory placard near the entry hatch. Bridge is level 4. Forward section. I knew that, Rex said. He had been walking toward engineering. You were going the wrong way. I was looking at things. They took the maintenance stairs because the lifts needed a crew badge. For flights. Sol dropped one of the pictures on the second landing and they went back for it, because they were not leaving any of the pictures. The bridge door was heavy, manual bar lock, the kind you push sideways. It took all three of them leaning at once. The door swung open onto a wide, dark space that smelled like warm electronics and possibility. Panels, screens, a viewport looking up at the ceiling of the docking bay, and in the center, elevated on a small platform, surrounded by armrests and instrument clusters that none of them could read, the captain's chair. Rex walked to it in a straight line. He climbed up with some difficulty. The chair was designed for a human adult, and his back legs scrambled for purchase twice, and settled himself in. He arranged his tail over the armrest. He placed his forelimbs on the arms of the chair. He looked out at the docking bay ceiling above. Yes, he said quietly. Sol took the navigation seat and applied enough sideways force to make it spin. It was not designed to spin. It did now a little. He seemed satisfied with this. Fern took a co-pilot station, found the quick start manual in a side drawer, and began reading it aloud. She read everything aloud. It was how she learned. Rex usually found it annoying. Right now it was the most normal sound in the room, and he was grateful for it. Rex, she said, still reading. The startup sequence alone is 40 steps. Find the autopilot. I am on page 6. Skip to the relevant part. Every part is relevant. Rex looked at the panel in front of him. There were many buttons and switches and toggles he could not read. There was, however, helpfully, clearly, surrounded by a ring of green light. One button larger than all the others. The label was in large clean text. Autopilot engage. Rex pressed it. The ship lurched. The engines did not roar. They cycled, a deep mechanical vibration that moved up through the floor and into the chair and into Rex's spine. Somewhere far below, things were happening in the engineering section that he did not understand and did not need to. The docking clamps disengaged with a sound like a very large lock opening. Fern grabbed her manual. Sol stopped spinning. The ship moved. It moved slowly, the way very large things move. Not dramatically, but completely, with the unstoppable weight of something that has decided. There was a sound from the port side, a long scraping groan, as the autopilot navigated the departure with slightly more confidence than precision. One of the docking arms did not get out of the way quite fast enough. Rex gripped the armrests. He did not let go. On the station, the alarm started. Chief Engineer Wren had been in the lower decks running a coolant diagnostic when the engine cycled. She knew that sound the way she knew the sound of her own voice. She was running before she understood why. It took her 3 minutes to reach the bridge level, and when she got there the door was manually barred from inside, and the ship was already clear of the bay, and through the door she could hear a faint lullaby. Sol had found the external speaker array. He had not meant to. He had been investigating the panel to his left and leaned on a toggle, and now the lullaby Fern had been humming to herself, soft and low, their mother's song, was broadcasting at full volume on all open frequencies. Wren put her back against the wall and assessed the situation. Bridge inaccessible. Ship underway on autopilot at 30% thrust. 3 Dragon hatchlings in control of the navigation area. And a lullaby playing across open emergency channels. She started looking for the maintenance hatch. In the operations center, Daya's communicator went off. She looked at the 3 empty cots. The blankets were folded, Rex always folded his blanket, and the pictures were gone from under the cot, every last one. She closed her eyes for exactly 2 seconds. "Get me a scout pod," she said, to no one and everyone. "Single seat. No weapons. And someone please patch me through to that ship's comm line." She was suited up before the pod was fueled. Admiral Sura dispatched 2 interceptors. Fast, experienced pilots, clean approach vectors. They would match speed with Wanderer, hail the bridge, and walk the situation back. Efficient. Simple. The interceptors came within 400 meters of the colony ship. Wanderer fired a warning shot. The proximity defense grid, still armed from her last licensed transit, because nobody had stood it down during the port stay, sent a pulse round across the interceptor's bow. Both pilots pulled off. Veteran instinct does not argue with a 5,000-ton vessel, regardless of who is flying it. "Stand them down," Sura said. She was at the tracking board, watching the blip that was Wanderer moving steadily outward. Dia was already there. Flight suit on, waiting to be looked at. Scout pod. 1 seat. No weapon signature, nothing the defense grid can flag. I match their speed and open a line. You're not rated for solo deep approach on a vessel that class. I'm rated for everything that keeps those 3 alive. That's what this is. Sura looked at her for 3 seconds. Base 6. Don't startle them. Dia was already walking. Inside Wanderer, a strange quiet had settled. Rex was still in the captain's chair. The first part, the departure, the sheer size of what they had done, had felt enormous. The second part, now that the ship was just moving outward with nowhere to land, had become a different kind of feeling he wasn't ready to name. He did not say this. Sol had found the emergency ration packs, and eaten too. Then he had found the external speaker toggle. He had not meant to. He leaned on it reaching for a 3rd pack, and now the lullaby Fern had been humming was broadcasting on all open frequencies across 200 kilometers. Fern had found this on page 31 of the manual. She had not told Rex. She could see in the set of his jaw that he was thinking about something already. The lullaby moved out through the dark. A Kethera freighter on a cargo run received it. The Kethera were formal, forearmed, efficient. Their culture had no lullabies. Their young went directly from hatching to developmental programs. The captain listened for 30 seconds. Then she hailed Wanderer. Rex answered. He was the captain. That was a captain's job. Vessel UCS Wanderer. State your heading and purpose. Rex used his best voice. We are on an important mission. Clarify, please. We are visiting our grandfather. Silence. Understood, the captain said, in the voice of someone who did not understand and had decided further questions would not help. Safe travels. She filed the encounter in a log category she had created during her first transit through human-adjacent space. Inexplicable human behavior. She noted the lullaby. She noted the stated mission. She closed the log. She was a professional. Dia's scout pod came alongside 17 minutes later. She held position outside the bridge viewport, close enough for her face to show on the interior camera feed. She keyed the comm, hey. 3 heads turned. Fern looked guilty. Sol waved. Rex straightened and put on his composed expression, the one that didn't fully work because his eyes always gave him away. Hello, Dia, he said. Here's the thing, Dia said. Easy voice. The voice she used when she needed them listening instead of defending. Grandpa Drax is on Ring 3. Yes, that is why we are going. Ring 3 is part of the station. You can't fly to it. You dock and walk through the corridors, like we normally do. Rex's tail moved once. A small, slow twitch. I knew that, he said. Rex. Small silence. I thought it was farther, he said quietly. Fern made a sound close to crying. Sol went very still. I know, Dia said. Something in her voice shifted. I know you did. Can I ask you something? Rex looked at the panel in front of him. Did anyone ever tell you he was okay? Fern's head came up. They said he needed rest, Rex said. I know what they said. Did anyone say he was going to be fine? Rex didn't answer. I didn't say it either, Dia said. That one's on me. She kept her voice steady, but the weight in it was real. He has a minor respiratory irritation, Rex. It's already better. He is going to be fine. The bridge was very quiet. Rex stared at the console. Somewhere behind the captain's chair and the composed face and 70 minutes of total commitment to this plan, something in him went still. The stillness of a creature who has been carrying a fear and just been told it was smaller than it felt. His tail slid off the armrest and dropped to the floor. He didn't cry. He was Rex. But that was close enough. Okay, he said. Okay, Dia said. So let's go home. She watched him through the viewport. This small bronze gold hatchling in a chair 3 times too big for him, with 16 drawings tucked under his co-pilot's wing, who had stolen a colony ship because he was scared and nobody told him not to be. She had been angry. She was still a little angry. Mostly, though, she was something else. Something she would not say out loud for a very long time. I'm going to need someone to fly this thing, a new voice said over the comm Ren. From inside the ship. I'm in the engineering crawl. Give me 4 minutes to reach the bridge. Rex blinked. The engineer is in the walls. The engineer has been in the walls for an hour, Ren said. Don't touch anything. Ren had been in the maintenance crawlways for 59 minutes. She knew every shaft and wanderer the way some people know the layout of their own home. By feel, by memory, by the specific sounds different junctions made when air moved through them. She had signed onto this ship 12 years ago as a second-tier systems tech and had worked her way up through 4 hull repairs and 2 complete engine rebuilds. This vessel was, in ways she had never said out loud, hers. The crawlways below the bridge level were narrow. Ren was not a large person. She moved through them slowly and carefully, because this was not a situation that would improve if she startled anyone. The maintenance hatch came up through the floor of the bridge directly below the starboard instrument bank. She could hear, through the thin panel, 3 distinct sets of sounds. Someone reading aloud from what was clearly the quick start manual, someone spinning in a chair that was not meant to spin, and the quiet, particular hum of a hatchling who was not saying what he was thinking. She eased the panel up, got her shoulders through, stood. 3 pairs of eyes locked onto her. Soul breathed fire. It was a reflex, over and under a second, small and instinctive, but it caught the edge of the console housing directly above Ren's head. She had already dropped below the level of the instrument board, and the fire went over her in a hot rush with roughly 4 centimeters to spare. She came back up slowly, brushed 2 small sparks off her collar. Soul had both forepaws pressed over his mouth. His eyes were enormous. He looked absolutely horrified at himself. It's fine, Ren said. I ducked. How are you 3 doing? Nobody answered right away. Ren walked to the middle of the bridge and sat down on the floor, cross-legged, unhurried. She rested her hands on her knees and looked at Rex, who was watching her from the captain's chair with the careful expression of a creature preparing for consequences. Okay, she said. Tell me the plan from the start. I thought about it. Changed my mind. She looked at him steadily. Tell me the plan. The plan came out in pieces. Rex told most of it. Fern filled in the parts he left out, because Fern always filled in the parts he left out. Soul contributed the information that the ration packs in the starboard side panel were a good flavor. Ren listened to all of it without interrupting. When they finished, she sat quietly for a moment. Not nothing. Something was moving behind her expression, working through something, but she didn't speak yet. Who told you he was sick? She said. The nurses, Fern said. We were in the ventilation shaft. They said he needed more rest. Did anyone tell you directly that he was okay? Fern and Rex looked at each other. The look lasted half a second and said everything. Dia said his visits were paused, Rex said. She said he needed quiet. But she didn't say he was going to be fine. No, Rex said. Ren exhaled slowly. She thought about what that meant. 7 days of paused visits and careful adult language, every sentence meaning the same thing. Wait, be patient, give him time. And not one sentence meaning, he is okay, you do not need to worry. 3 children had responded to that gap by finding the largest available option and pointing it at the problem. She had worked alongside 14 alien species in her career. She had crewed with beings who were stronger and faster and older than any human alive. She had never, not once, seen a non-human juvenile species steal a ship to go visit a sick elder. She had seen plenty of human ones who would. She looked at Rex. Here is what I am going to do, she said. I am going to fly this ship home. Properly, on a real heading, dock correctly. She paused. But I need a co-pilot. Rex's expression shifted. Something careful in it. 1 real navigation input, Ren said. I'll show you what to do. You enter it yourself. You hold the heading with me until we dock. She kept her voice simple. No drama. It'll be logged in the ship's record. Co-pilot designation. Real. The quiet on the bridge had a different texture now. Real, Rex said. Not a question. More like checking the weight of the word. Logged and signed, Ren said. You in? Rex climbed down from the captain's chair. He crossed to the co-pilot station. He sat in it with his spine straight, and his tail still, and his eyes on the panel in front of him. Yes, he said. Ren took the captain's chair. She opened the comm dia. Sura, I have the bridge. We are coming home. Please have Grandpa Drax at docking bay 4. Sura's voice came back, dry and steady. You're bringing the whole ship back? I'm bringing the whole crew back, Ren said. A pause. Then, from Sura, a sound that was not quite a laugh. Very nearly, though. Bay 4, Sura said. Understood. Ren closed the channel. She looked at Rex, who was looking at the co-pilot panel with the total focus of a creature for whom this mattered very much. Fern had already gone back to the manual. Sol was building something in the back corridor with emergency foam packs, which Ren noticed and decided to address later. She set her hands on the controls. All right, she said. Let me show you the first input. The return arc took 40 minutes. Ren flew it the way she flew everything, without hurry, without drama, with the steady hands of someone who respected the weight of what she was moving. Wanderer was not a nimble ship. She was built for distance and endurance, not quick turns. You had to think ahead of her. You had to trust the math. Rex was watching everything. Not pretending, not playing. Watching, with the focused attention of a creature who had decided this was real and was treating it accordingly. When Ren called out what she was doing and why, he listened. When she pointed at a readout and told him what it meant, he looked at it and did not look away until he understood it. Yaw correction, Ren said. Bringing us 3 degrees to port. Watch the heading marker, right there, on your panel. Rex found it in under 4 seconds. When I apply the correction, the marker moves. Call out the number when it settles. He called it out. Clean and exact. No hesitation. Good, Ren said. She didn't make a big thing of it. She moved on. That was the right thing to do, and she knew it. Making a big thing of a small success was how you made a creature self-conscious, and a self-conscious co-pilot was a worse co-pilot. She just said good and moved on, and she felt Rex settle into his seat a little more solidly. Fern fell asleep sometime around the 20-minute mark. She was in the co-pilot station she had used on the outward leg, curled into herself with the manual still open under one forepaw. The 16 pictures were fanned out underneath her like a nest she had built without meaning to. Her breathing was the quietest sound on the bridge. Sol was in the back corridor. He had, over the past 30 minutes, constructed something out of the emergency foam dispensers. Ren had assessed it when she passed through to check the rear systems. It was large and roughly spherical, and she had decided she was not going to think about it right now. Hearthold Station, UCS Wanderer requesting Bay for clearance, Ren said into the comm. Wanderer, you are cleared for Bay 4. The docking controller's voice was very professional. Someone had clearly briefed him. Welcome home. Thank you, Ren said. She glanced at Rex. Ready? Yes, he said immediately. Primary controls are mine. I need you on descent rate. That display, right there. Call it every half unit as it changes. Steady voice. Don't rush. Rex looked at the display. He found the right number. He set his eyes on it. Ready, he said. They came in slow. Large vessels always did. Not dramatically, not in the way old human films made it look, with speed and fire and last-second heroics. Real docking was patience and precision and a constant quiet adjustment of force. Ren brought Wanderer in the way she always brought her in, with respect. The station grew in the viewport from a distant ring of light to something enormous and close. Detail resolving from general to specific. Bay doors, docking arms, the numbered slots along the ring. Bay 4 was lit and waiting. Rex called the descent numbers without error. Every half unit, every time, clear and even. His voice did not waver. His eyes did not leave the display. At one point the rate shifted faster than expected, a minor correction Ren made, and Rex caught it and called it before she had finished the input. She said nothing, but something in her expression changed, just slightly. The magnetic clamps engaged with a sound like a very large lock closing. A series of green lights moved across the board left to right, one by one, each one confirming what the last had started. Docked, Ren said. Rex let out a breath. It was long and slow, and at the end of it the tightness went out of his shoulders, and he was briefly just a hatchling, small in a chair that was too big for him, looking at a panel that now showed all green. Was that real? He said. Co-pilot input, final docking approach, Hearthold Station, Bay 4. Log. Rin looked at him. Real. Rex looked at the panel for a moment longer. Then he climbed down and went to wake Fern, who startled, then looked around, then looked at the green lights and let out a very long, very quiet breath of her own. They gathered the pictures. Rex took his stack, Fern took hers, and Sol's picture was retrieved from the back corridor along with Sol, who had some emergency foam on his head that they removed as carefully as they could. Ren manually unbarred the bridge door. The ramp extended to Bay 4. Waiting at the bottom, Daya, arms folded, face held carefully neutral. Commander Orcs. A full emergency medical team. 30-odd station crew and civilians who were officially monitoring the situation and unofficially watching because this was the most interesting thing to happen on Hearthold in a year. And in the center of the bay, because he had insisted, because no argument from the medical staff had moved him once he decided to stand, Grandfather Drax. Ancient. Gold. Enormous. Wearing a thermal blanket with orange geometric shapes that the nurses had given him. Wearing it with complete dignity. Standing at the foot of the ramp. Waiting. The 3 hatchlings appeared at the top. They saw him. They went down the ramp the way small creatures go toward the thing they have been missing. Not carefully, not slowly. And Drax lowered himself and opened his arms, and the impact of 3 hatchlings at full speed was the kind of thing that would have moved anything smaller. Drax did not move. He folded around them and held on. The damage report ran to 11 pages. 1 docking arm, dented. 4 days of repair work. 1 navigation panel on the bridge, partially consumed by a hatchling. 3 consoles, singed to varying degrees. 1 requiring a full housing replacement. Emergency foam reserves in aft corridor C, fully depleted. 1 large spherical structure of unknown purpose had been constructed from said foam and was currently awaiting classification. External broadcast duration, 47 minutes and 12 seconds, across all open frequencies, received by 7 vessels and 2 relay stations. 5 of the 7 vessels logged it as a signal anomaly. 1 filed a formal inquiry. 1, a Drovian cargo hauler, whose captain had a reputation across 4 trade routes for being the quietest being on any ship she ran, listened to all 47 minutes. When the broadcast ended, she sent a single-line response. The message read, "Nice song." The formal inquiry came from the Kethera freighter, addressed to Hearthold Station Command, requesting clarification on whether it was standard human practice to broadcast audio content on emergency frequencies, and whether the colony ship's operation had been authorized. Admiral Sura wrote back. Her response was 3 words. It was classified. That meant it spread by word of mouth within 2 days. By the end of the month, most of Hearthold knew it. Sura's 3-word reply to a formal Kethera inquiry became the kind of shorthand people used with a certain look. The 3 words were, "It's a human thing." Daya sat with the hatchlings through the medical bay checkup. Standard post-incident procedure. No one was hurt. The staff confirmed this with the thoroughness of people who wanted to be very sure and also had nothing else to do, because all 3 hatchlings were completely fine and Rex had been visibly impatient since the second minute. Daya sat in the chair by the door. She did not lecture. She had thought on the way back about what mattered most. Not the docking arm. Not the defense grid. The thing she hadn't said. She said it now. Directly. Not for long. He was okay. She should have told them. The worry they had carried for 7 days was real, and she should have seen it and spoken to it, and she hadn't, and that was on her. Fern made a small sound at the end of it and climbed into Daya's lap. She was too big for it, technically. Daya didn't mention this. Rex watched from the exam bed. "Are we in trouble?" he asked. "Yes," Daya said. "How much?" "Medium. You'll speak with the Admiral. You'll help with the repairs where you can. Bay access restriction for your wing goes from 100 meters to 200. Rex considered this. That is still a large area. It is, Daya agreed. He was quiet a moment. Then, Daya, I entered a navigation input on the way home. Ren showed me. It was in the log. I heard. He looked at his forepaws. It was good. Daya looked at him. This hatchling who had committed an act of massive, exhausting, completely inconvenient love, and felt something large and nameless move through her chest. Yeah, she said. I know. Ren made 2 entries in the official ship's log before closing it out. The first was the standard incident report. The second was not standard. Under crew citations, a section technically reserved for registered crew members, she wrote 1 entry. She had no formal authority to issue it. She wrote it anyway. It read, Junior Navigation Citation, Co-Pilot, Final Docking Approach, Bay 4. Steady hands, accurate descent reporting, commitment to heading. Signed, Chief Engineer Ren. She sealed it in a paper envelope and gave it to Dia. Rex read it 3 times. He folded it carefully and tucked it into the notebook under his cot. He kept it for a long time. On the 4th day, Drax was cleared for visits. Dia walked all 3 hatchlings through the connecting corridor to Ring 3 herself, one hand resting on Rex's shoulder the way she had when he was very small. They brought all 16 pictures. Drax received each one seriously, commenting on the lines and the colors and the specific ways they had each drawn his scales. He arranged them along the windowsill until there was no more space. Then he said, Tell me about the ship. Rex told it. He told it well. The plan, the hatch that was still open, the captain's chair, the Kethera freighter, the engineer who came up through the floor. He told it about the navigation input carefully, the way you carry something you want to say right. When Rex finished, Drax laughed, the full, rolling laugh of a very old creature who had found something completely helpless and funny, filling the room, moving through the walls. Your grandmother, Drax said, when he could speak again, flew herself across 3 mountain ranges in a storm to reach me when I was ill. She was young. She was not supposed to fly in that weather. He looked at Rex. She would have liked you. Dia sat in the corner, Fern against her side, Soul making the low rumble that meant content. She looked at the 16 pictures. She looked at Drax still laughing. She looked at Rex holding his story like something earned. She let herself smile, quietly, where no one was watching. Just enough.